Hello and welcome back to me, Miss Connor. Thank you for joining us. Today we are going to be reviewing an interview of the author Olafusi, 82-year-old. He said Nigeria must redefine its democracy to reflect realities. Okay, United States-based Par Fidelis Olafusi, 82-year-old, a knight of a Roman Catholic Church and retired chartered accountant, recently authored 2 books, Democracy, Demos or Demons, and Peace from Pieces, incorporating Biafra, a parody of conflict. He spoke with Laolu Afolabi on his expectations from President Bola Tinubu and the urgent need to stabilize Nigeria's economy. The interviewer asked him, "How was your growing up like?" He said, "It was fine. I attended the University of Lagos, where I was admitted in 1964 and graduated in 1967. I studied business administration, specializing in accountancy. Folushagiwa, now late, of Lever Brothers, was a year ahead of me. Professor Oladimeji in Federal University of Technology, Akure, was my roommate. Among others, after graduation, I joined an international firm, Messrs. Pitts, Mawick, CE & Co., Lagos, for a 3-year training in accountancy. I then worked for another 4 years, left for trading for 2 years, and when I couldn't sustain it because of lack of capital, I joined the public service in 1978 as the Deputy Director, Finance and Administration, and the National Provident Fund. I left after a short stay to set up my accountancy practice in 1980. I'm an associate of the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants, United Kingdom, Fellow of the Chartered Association of Certified Corporate Accountants, UK, and Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I also had a stint in party politics as I vied for an elective post in the National Republican Convention in 1987. I have since retired from my private practice and have now relocated to the United States." The interviewer asked him, "Why did you relocate to the US?" "I went there for a fatherly role. My children planned for me to come, though I used to go on visits. That time, I was thinking of making the visa application thing easier, but when I got there, I found it was a different thing. After all, I was about to retire from practice, so I just stayed." Interviewer asked again, "How was civil service in your time?" He said the civil service in that era was excellent. In fact, it couldn't have been better. They were doing fine and the country was good. By and large, the civil servants were well trained and productive. Their efficiency depended on how best they could advise the government of the day. However, partisan politics eroded the gains of that time. He said, "How would you rate Nigeria of then and now?" He said, "The Nigeria of our time was a country of endless hope for the country and its individuals. Things were going well for the country. At independence, our currency was valuable, even more than the dollar. We discovered petroleum. At the time, our problem was no money, but how to spend and manage it. That was the time of General Yakubu Gowon. With time, we seem to lose our self-respect, self-confidence. Since several military interventions, things have never gone well. Even when the army returned to the barracks, they only changed their uniform for civilian clothes. Since then, Nigeria has been performing poorly, with citizens losing hope and confidence in the country. The Japa syndrome leaving the country in droves, especially by the youths. It's not worrisome. No one wants to stay in the country again." Baba, you say we are not in the country. The interviewer asked, "Are we suffering from the mismanagement of the era?" He said, "Yes. Can you imagine people being taken into the battlefront to keep the country warm? And the only thing some of those concerned were concerned about was politics. Nigeria was mismanaged badly. One of the ideas that brought us down this low was the manner of relocating the Federal Capital Territory from Lagos to Abuja. The federal government single-handedly wanted to build Abuja in about 4 years or 8 without the input from private enterprise. A lot of development and pursuit of the industrialization process were abandoned and left to suffer at the expense of building Abuja. Lagos, too, was neglected. It's the military. There was no dialogue, no persuasion, nothing. It is well." He said, "Do you see Nigeria returning to its golden era?" He said, "Of course. God blessed Africa so much. By looking at the map, you will see why Africa is so blessed. Half of the continent is in the southern hemisphere, while the other half is in the northern hemisphere. We enjoy sunshine and enough rainfall, and of all the country, Nigeria is blessed with the Niger Delta oil. Other natural resources, human resources, and physical and environmental resources The only thing we have to do is to reconsider our objectives and goals. Again, as I stated in my books, we have to decide what type of democracy we will practice to achieve our goals. The democracy that suits us is not the Washington type, not the Westminster type, not the one in China, but something we should work out based on our own uniqueness, representing the people and suiting our own purpose. Democracy, as known, is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. The people matter as it comes 3 times in that definition. The government is to serve the people first. Nigeria has to think out its unique way of democracy to be developed. The interviewer asked him again, if he meets President Bola Tinubu today, what do you intend to tell him? If I have the opportunity, I'll first of all tell him not to be discouraged, but to keep his focus on the people of Nigeria. I'll advise him to embark on a people-oriented government if the government is constructing roads, passing laws and policies, or fighting corruption. He must think of the people. Also, I will tell Mr. President that the people of Nigeria, I mean ourselves and our children, want the government to be for their progress and benefits. Also, I will tell the President to look into the nation's currency and the economy. They are tied together. The economy is very important. Without forming a government, people can still survive as individuals. Without a central government, however, we form a government to further the economic welfare of the citizens. So, Mr. President should pay attention to the economy and the value of our naira. The value of our currency shows how an administration is faring in comparison with others, so the President should pay attention to the economy and our currency. If the naira becomes stronger and in competition with other currencies, it shows the administration is working well and pursuing development-oriented policies. At independence, 1 naira was more than $1. The President should pay more attention to the value of the naira and its stability. He said, the interviewer asked again, what can the government do to stabilize the naira? He said, the truth is that Nigeria is not lacking in intelligent people within the Central Bank of Nigeria. The government, the Ministry of Finance, and other institutions responsible for monetary and fiscal policies. I'm not arguing that I know better than those at the helm of affairs. But speaking truth to power, Tinubu started very well by trying to remove all that had held the economy down. But he has to do more than that. To stabilize the naira, Nigeria must become a manufacturer, a producer. The country has to be abreast of the ICT world and all that. We must increase our exports to generate real value for the country and strengthen the economy. We must stop being at the consuming end. We have to be producing. We must develop our manpower to such a high level of excellence that it becomes truly productive. The economy must be managed by experts. In one of my books, I recommended that the government should establish a strong economic team drawn from the banking sector and other key areas of the global economy to formulate monetary and fiscal policies capable of revitalizing our economy. That's nice. The interviewer asked him again, said, what do you do to stay healthy? He said, though I have relocated to the United States, I still return to Nigeria every year and spend several months, sometimes up to 6. Except during the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020, longevity is in God's hands, but I maintain a healthy lifestyle by exercising regularly for 15 to 30 minutes about 3 times a week. I avoid junk food, bear no grudges, and live free of anxiety. My confidence is in God. I have no worries. As a Catholic, I have invested as a Knight of Saint Sylvester the Pope in 2007 by Pope Benedict. I believe in God and I pray to Him for all my needs. And that's it, my people. Well, don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. Bye.